Oh my goodness, I hit the wrong banner. Welcome to our Thrive and Edu community, everybody. It is so good to be back. My name is Melody McAllister, and I'm here with the amazing Rachelle Dene Poth, who is in Nashville having such a great time. And I'm so jealous because it's warm there. And the only thing warm about where I am in Alaska is this cup, and it has my lipstick all over it. But it's so good to be back. I haven't been on here for a month, and it looks like you found as many people as you could to replace me. But I'm back, so everybody else take a back seat because I've got my job.
I tell you what, like, I am so thankful for Andrew and Lainey and Bonnie because they just, I was like, hey, do you want to, co-host? Because Mel's not here. But I have missed you tremendously over the
Oh,
past month.
sure.
And I have. And
Whatever.
oh my gosh, that is so inappropriate. But I'm so happy that you're here, and I am in Nashville. And I've been talking about you like all the time. I was like, the last time my friend Mel and I we were here, we were talking about Airbnbs today, and I remember our whole experience with Airbnb. But yeah, it's been great. I've been at a conference here since, oh my gosh, I can't keep track of the days with the time zones, but I came in Wednesday night for TETC and got to see some friends from
Ooh,
Nashville, from Tennessee, from Chattanooga, actually, like Greg
nice.
Bagby and Nikki Russell, who are
Hey,
tremendous
Greg.
educators.
Hey, Nikki.
Yep.
Yes.
Sending some shout outs. Matt Miller was the keynote. So it's always great
Ooh,
to
he's our
see,
friend.
I know, fellow Spanish teachers. So it's always great to see Matt. And we got to hang out, spend some time together, like the whole group of us on Wednesday night. So I don't know, it's nice to be back in person after like, what, a year and a half. And I hadn't seen Matt since we had dinner with, like, there was a group of us at TCEA last year. So this year it was great. He drove in from Indiana. I think Indiana. But yeah, it's nice to be in person at conferences and with people and have conversations. But I have to tell you that I've had very interesting Uber drivers over the last 2 days. I've learned so much. One of my drivers bought his truck with cryptocurrency, which was very interesting. I have one who lives also in Alaska. And I said, oh,
Ooh.
one of my really good friends lives in Alaska. And
Do
he's
you
like,
know her?
yeah, I guess
Just
a
kidding.
small say, like, do you know her? But it was a very good conversation. And he just really, I don't know, it was just interesting. He was talking about like the daylight. And I said, even here, like the conference ended at like 3, 4, 5 o'clock. It varied. And you get out and it's like 4:30 and it's dark. And he said, but if you're in
Yes.
Alaska, it's like 11 o'clock at night. You have to train yourself to go to bed. So anyway, but I'm glad you're
Yeah.
back. So
Oh my gosh, look, did you see that we're having trouble streaming? It's going to go off of my Facebook and stuff in just a minute. Oh well.
yeah, and
Like you can't control that.
our guest is hopefully able to join
Yes.
soon. I keep sending the invite, but there was a
Athea,
message earlier.
if you're out there, Athea, if you're out there, we'll just pull you right up when you get here. We hope that you can make it. But I want to tell you something. I love that you're in Nashville. My good friend Sarah Beth Myers is running for DA, District Attorney in Nashville. And so if you, I know, I feel like Stacy Benton. She lives in
She
Nashville.
does. She's one of
So
my favorites.
Stacy, spread the word. Sarah Beth is amazing. I grew up with her. We were very good friends. The first time I ever went to a restaurant without my parents was with her in the 8th grade, maybe the 7th grade. I don't know. Like we played basketball together. Her parents are amazing. I just want to give a shout out to my friend Sarah Beth. She's running for district attorney. I have never been so proud of someone. I just
That's
watch.
awesome.
She's done things for years. She's done amazing things for women that are fleeing from abusive situations, for children. She's just been an amazing person, and I want to give her a shout out. So I'm thinking about moving to Nashville so that I can vote for her. So I'll keep you posted on that. Or maybe getting a winter home at least.
You know what? We should talk because then you and I can get one place together because I have been here so often. But for anybody who's never been here, like, it is a great place. There is something for everybody. And I mean, conferences, this has been a very popular spot for conferences because it's very cost effective compared to like LA or DC or Philadelphia, for example. That's just conversations that I've been involved in. And, we were here last February, 2020, you, me, Linnell, Sarah, and Alexis, and we had a fabulous time.
Mhm.
And then everything shut down. And then this July, I came here, but there was like a group of 10 of us. It's just great. And I was out, talking to people and just seeing people. So anybody who has not been to Nashville, I recommend. But Mel, seriously, like if you want to get, then we'll just be together and we can broadcast live
And
together in our
we
space.
can. Yes, and we will
Yeah.
get better pictures. And I'm gonna try to lose 10 pounds before I travel again. Um, so our guests showed up, and I love it. And yes, anytime that I can make it out to Nashville, but I also want to do a Vegas live show. So if I go to Nashville again, you have to promise that we will meet in
Oh,
Vegas.
yeah, I'll book
Yes,
it. I have so much
yes.
airline credit at this point, like I can go anywhere.
Yes. Okay. And so before we bring Athea up, and I can't wait to meet her, this will be my first time meeting her in person. I just want to give a shout out to, I work for Teacher Goals, and we are putting on this amazing conference. And I'm going to put the link out in just a second. But this conference is so amazing. And right now there's an early bird special that you can sign up and you can get $10 off the early bird pricing. That's like 20% off, and it's already very affordable. I'm going to drop the link, but we are looking for presenters that are educators, parents, students, and community members who are connected to their school communities. And they want to share with others what they're doing to make a school, like holistically beneficial for everybody. Like everybody has a role to play. And I'm so excited about that. So I'm going to drop the link for that. And when I do that, when I start typing up that, Rachelle, will you tell us about our amazing guest?
No.
I hate you. What did you do with
Oh,
my friend? No, I'm just joking. I love you.
whatever.
I
No,
love you.
I am so excited. I'm gonna pull her up right now because
Awesome.
yay, there she is. So I don't even remember, like, it's so interesting because sometimes you forget how you've connected with people. But I had the opportunity to be a guest on her podcast. I don't even know if it was this year, honestly. I feel like it might have been last year, but it was talking about like mindfulness and the different practices. And we had such a good conversation. And I really appreciate the work that you do because, especially like I did a presentation this morning here in Tennessee talking about like teacher burnout and taking breaks
Mm.
and social emotional learning, which is something that years ago somebody said, "What are you doing for SEL?" And I was like, what are you doing? Because when they said it, I didn't actually know the acronym for it. And so I turned the tables on them and they told me. And then I was a little bit relieved because I realized, like, okay, I'm doing some things, but I need to be doing more. And then even with the mindfulness and reflective practices, that is something that is newer to me. And so, anyway, when I had the chance to talk with you on your podcast, and I've listened to your podcast ever since, so I've been excited to have you come on and join us today because, especially at this time of year, I know at the start of the school year, and I keep talking, so I should put on my listening lives like Mel, but it's been tough from March of 2020 all through, even though we're back in person and everything, there's so much going on. And I feel like even at the start of the school year, it's like, even today, teachers were like, yeah, I'm burnt out. I'm tired, I'm exhausted, and it's hard to take that break. So I think it's obviously perfect timing for us, especially with a real break coming up for educators, hopefully around the world. But can't wait to learn from you, get some tips, and of course, share your resources for everybody else. So welcome to you. I'm so glad you're able to join in, and I'm going
Yes,
to
finally
stop right now.
here, live in my car, not driving. I'm stopped. So, yeah, called parenting and teaching and doing all the things.
Yeah. So, for anybody who doesn't know who you are or what you do, we have links that we'll share. If you have questions, please join in. But we'll drop some links into the chat as well for your website where they can access more information. But, if somebody said to you, what do you do? What's your role in education? Like, what would you say, even though it says on the banner right now, but how would you describe yourself and, your motivation, your inspiration for the work that you do?
Well, my answer isn't really a normal answer, like a label that I do. My first response is I help people reignite their inner spark. And I really like leading with that because it leads to a conversation about really what this work is. I could always lead off with, hey, I'm a mindfulness educator in schools. And I think most people are like, what is that? or what does it mean to reignite your inner spark? And I'm so much as I work with kids and I work with educators about tuning into that inner light within. And sometimes we call that, stillness, our inner voice, that place inside where we feel most creative, most authentic, and most alive. And so I use the tools of mindfulness and yoga in my classroom and with educators and really anyone that I'm working with to help them tune into that place where they feel their most authentic self. And in this season that we've been in for the past couple of years, it doesn't feel, and I'm hearing this a lot, maybe you both feel this as well, it seems a little bit harder to tune into that space on the inside. It feels a little bit harder to know, what does it mean to be my authentic self right now? Because the world in education seems like it's going through like this seismic shift. Things are happening so much more quickly, it seems like, than they were a couple of years ago. There's a lot of things changing. There are a lot of things on our plates that weren't there before. And it's so important to carve out the time to tune into that inner spark. So I'm probably going on a little bit longer than I should be, but when people ask what I do help people reignite their inner spark. And if you're wondering what that means, it just means I'm a mindfulness educator. I help people chillax, relax, and tune in to how to reduce stress in their lives, to be more reflective, tune into their own emotional intelligence, all those great things.
Okay, so I have to ask, what was the first thing that you said? Chillax?
Chillax, yeah.
So
Chillax
like
and relax.
chilling and
And
relaxing?
relaxing, yeah. Yes. But, I'm such a type A personality too, so I really, these tools are so great to be very focused and efficient and productive at the things
Mhm.
that we're trying to do, very goal oriented. One of the things I love to work with students and educators and really have I'm sure we can talk about this later, but I have a program that comes out at the beginning of every year called 9 to Shine. And I use all the tools, principles in yoga and mindfulness to help, it's like a mindset challenge in a way to help
Right.
others really reach the goals that they're working for in a sustainable way. And what I mean is, what is the work that I have to do on the inside to really be truly successful on the outside? And sometimes it, it's the work of understanding who we are, what our values are, be building that self-awareness through the tools of mindfulness and yoga. And when I say those two words, I'm talking about breathing and meditation, mindful movement, and connecting the brain and the heart so we can be ultimately our smartest self. So
That's awesome, and that's a lot. How do you, I mean, because I'm a mother, I'm an educator, and I'm doing a lot of different things on the side as well. You're an author, you're doing a podcast. What are you doing to make you feel like you're doing it successfully and you're not running out of steam?
mm, I think this is a constant learning process, that as we go through, especially for high achievers as type A personalities, what you really have to get clear on are what your values are, your core values. And once you're clear on
Mhm.
what your core values are, when you start looking at the things that you're committed to, and you kind of do an audit or an inventory check, and you're looking at, okay, am I doing this because I'm just, it's hard. Like, I don't have boundaries and I'm just saying yes to everything. Or am I doing this because this is based and steeped in my values and this is really important to me? And a lot of times what we find is that our to-do list or the things that, or whatever that we're doing that's keeping us busy, we may be doing for other reasons. Oh, well, I'm doing this because, I have a hard time, implementing boundaries in my life, or this is this is how I'm getting self-esteem, instead of actually
Right.
internally tuning into that self-esteem that comes from being based in your values and having your actions stem from those values. And so when I look at just even my own balance, and I have to do this inventory, Sometimes a few times a year, sometimes more, because I'm a yes person. I'm like, yes, I'm curious and I want to know, and I want to read, and I want to, like, yes, let's work together. Let's do this. And then I have to get really real and say, okay, which of these is really aligned to my values? And then I start categorizing, like, or prioritizing. Okay, which one is
Mhm.
most important? And clearly, like, as a mom, I family is an important value. And at the same time, like, what in it as a mom and as an educator and these other things with the podcast, how am I balancing all those things? It's there's no, like, I think, right formula. It goes back to almost sometimes daily too, or weekly or monthly, looking at, as I look through the things that I'm doing and I've committed to, are these aligning to my values? And one of them is, am I giving myself time that I can process what I'm experiencing? If I'm working on a project or doing a live call or producing a podcast or interviewing someone or sitting in the parking lot as my son is at lacrosse practice so I can do the live call, right? Like, figuring out, like, sometimes you can make things work, and they're not going to be perfect. It's not going to be the perfect background. It's not going to be, the
Right.
perfect situation, but I can make this work for this situation and I think it'll come out great. So it's just sometimes tuning into those moment experiences. And I think that's where mindfulness comes into play, is because it gives you that self-awareness of who you are and what works for you. I can, teach you guys breathing tools. We can do some yoga moves. I can teach you some reflection techniques. But ultimately, the work that you do within that, you're going to discover those gems about yourself, that self-awareness piece, who you are, what your values are, and how your actions are going to be aligned to your values. That's where you're going to find ultimate balance. A lot of people talk about, like, oh, there's no balance in life. And I really disagree with that, because I really
Mhm.
feel like balance is like a dance. And the more that we learn what that dance is for us, the more we're going to be steeped in that balance for us each day and in each moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I'm probably one of those people who say, there's not balance, and that's probably why I have, like, weight issues, just to be honest. But what if you get to that point? Sorry, I always gotta drop that in there, it's terrible. What if you get to this point where you're asking yourself, "Are these things I'm doing aligning to my values?" And you say, "No," but you've already committed to something, and
Yeah.
you know that it's going to be detrimental or at least cause negativity in your family life or in your personal life. How do you navigate those situations?
I think, you take it on a case by case basis, and you look at perhaps what you've already committed to, and you look at what's the mental and emotional impact, actually, going through all planes of our human development, physically, intellectually, emotionally, mentally. I may have said that, spiritually. So all of those planes of development, and we're looking at each of those and saying, what's the impact here? And
Mhm.
is it going to bring my stress level to a 10? And a 10's like max. I'm triggered. I have nothing else to give, and if I keep doing this, I'm going to have nothing. I'm going to be burning out. And if I go through that and say, yes, that's one of those cases, then I need to perhaps have a difficult conversation with a person. Maybe
Mhm.
that's with my kids. Maybe that's with another colleague. Maybe that's with whomever else you made that commitment with. And you just have a difficult, honest conversation, and you say, you know what? I was overzealous here when I committed to this. And as I take inventory on my energetic, availability right now, I'm not able to be 100% in this
Mhm.
commitment. And I want to respect this project and you enough to let you know that I'm going to have to cancel. But, like,
Mhm.
sometimes that happens as you navigate this terrain. And sometimes the commitment can be really important and you decide, or maybe all these commitments are important. Or maybe you decide, oh, I committed and I promised my kiddo that I was doing something. And perhaps like it's worth going to attend for that period of time and that commitment for that experience. But then you're going to have to cancel something else to kind of balance that out for yourself. But you can't keep going ahead and saying, oh, just because I committed. If you find yourself in all these commitments and you realize you've really done yourself a doozy and you're not going to be able to feel good. I think we should be
Right.
asking ourselves as we're doing this, how does this feel? I want to feel good. I want to feel like I have something to give, not that I've just said yes, let me add this to the checklist. Look at me, I'm the martyr, I can do this, I do everything.
Right.
We want to get away from that.
Right.
It's okay sometimes that you overcommitted and just have the conversation. And I think it shows other people your authenticity, that you make mistakes, but you're also showing what it looks like to take care of yourself and to show that, you know what, when I made that commitment, I probably wasn't thinking about taking care of myself. And here's me letting you know that.
Yeah. I love, just going to chime in for a second. I love what you said about the authenticity, because I think that that is key to so much of what we do as educators. Because this morning, like, I had a presentation at 8 at the conference, and I ordered Uber. Of course, it was like 10 minutes. I'm like, okay, that's great. And the next thing you know, it was like 28 minutes. So Greg Bagby, I'm like messaging him like, hey, I need for you to go in and like get ready, just be there because I might be late. And during the session, which was on social emotional learning, I was talking, and SEL was not something that I knew a lot about, because somebody said to me, what are you doing for SEL? And I, like I said before, like, what are you doing? And then I realized I was doing some things, but I wasn't doing enough. And I think, it's so important that it's hard to be in education today. It's hard to be in anything today at this point, because no matter what you do, you've been impacted by the changes that have come about in the world because of COVID and everything. Yep. But finding a balance, are we online too much? Or I read a paper, I'm in a doctoral course right now, and it's, one of the students, we had to do a technology interview, and I interviewed Dr. Sarah Thomas, who is absolutely amazing, and just learning about, what the role looks like. But one of the students was talking about, the balance and the fear of missing out on things because of that social connectedness. And for so many people in the last year and a half where we haven't been able to travel, you've been relying on, like with Melody, she's in Alaska, and I'm like, I don't get to see you, there's all these conferences and these events, and we're relying on this technology, these social media platforms to have those connections. But then there's that fine line, like finding the balance between like how much is too much, and then being mindful of like, are we relying on this too much where we're like on it all the time, and then we're neglecting like family and friends or our work or all the things, right? So
yeah,
it's like a craft that you have to figure out.
It is a craft. It's a personal craft. You're figuring out your own inner world, and no one can figure that out for you, but you have the tools to figure that out for yourself. So there is not, hey, 2 hours is too much. 3 hours, that we don't live in that world anymore. Remember years ago when they were like, oh, if you're on technology for like 2 hours a day, or your kids, it's like, whoa, that's too much. I don't know if you remember reading that, but
yes, I think about it all the time.
We're not like, I think they even used to, the printouts you get when your kids go to their wellness exams, it's like, okay, if your child is on technology for 2 or more hours a day, you might want to have a conversation and have time. This was like 3 years ago. We're post-pandemic and we're on technology a lot, and it's an awesome thing. So I think we need to adapt to the current context in which we're in. And these are also tools that we have control over. Now, albeit it's very alluring, the way technology is designed and its impact on our brain, because we get that dopamine hit. We're like, connect and like, and this is great, and the FOMO. But what the mindfulness practices do is it has you become aware of how you operate. And then you can know, what? One of the main things I often talk about educators, and I've actually been talking and teaching lessons with my students about this recently, is technology is great, but before you get on it, let's spend some time getting your brain and heart optimized for the day. And so that looks like whatever it looks like for you, but at least a few minutes in the morning where you're engaging in some kind of mindful breathing practice, a meditation, a mindful walk, some contemplative practice, journaling, anything like that, that connects to you, that you like, that you look forward to doing, that can get your mind organized for the day. And then you can get on technology. And then it's figuring out like how you feel when you're on technology for a certain period of time. So you may be fine, typing away, doing your slide decks or on Twitter or connecting with others. But were you intentional about that time? Or you just like, oh, let me just get on Twitter or whatever your favorite social media is, and you're just scrolling through without being intentional. So
Right.
intention matters. So when you get on technology, be clear about your intention for it. Am I getting on because I'm going to connect, and I'm going to connect for 15 minutes. And after that time, I'm done. Am I getting on because I'm going to share some of my content and connect? Like what's the intention here? Or
Mm-hmm.
I'm researching something and I want to ask my PLN what I need to know about a certain topic or who I need to connect with. Just being intentional. So setting even tiny intentions throughout your day. I'm a huge person of intention. Intention, desire plus will equals results. Where if we're not setting our intention, we're allowing, there's a phrase, the eyes go where the mind goes where the eyes go. And we talk about that a lot in yoga. And you want to train the mind. One of the things that we do, we look at focal points, and it's really kind of training the mind to focus, to concentrate. And setting intentions can help us focus our energy throughout the day. So when we think about balance, we also look at, okay, what is my day going to be? Okay, I have X, Y, and Z to do. I know that I need to be creative today. I need to be energetic because maybe I'm at a conference and I'm presenting. I need to, whatever those things are. Whatever, think of them as like these character traits that you would like to live out in that moment, in that day. And that's how you're funneling your energy in each of these activities. And we're human, right? Like we're going to make
Right.
the mistakes. We all do. I still sometimes I'll get on social and realize I didn't even like set an intention to get on it. It was just an automatic thing, right? Like we
Right.
many times have done that. I mean, especially now because we're on technology more so than we ever have been. And as we adapt to this much technology in our life, I think it's more important now than ever to be intentional with what you're using the technology for, and perhaps giving yourself some time limits too.
Yeah. I totally love that. I love everything that you're saying, and I think it applies a lot to where I am right now, what I've had to do for the last month after, our family had COVID. And so we're getting to the end of our show, and I just want to thank you so much for everything that you're sharing. And for anybody who's watching, we've had a little technical difficulties on our Facebook platforms,
Yeah.
but this has been a great episode, and I just checked, and we're still going strong on Twitter and LinkedIn. It looks like just our Facebook. But
Yeah.
I want to kind of like end the show with some reflections. And we usually do it with a game, but I just think that you've given us a lot to think about. And I would love for all three of us or anybody who's watching, if you want to share your reflections as well. But and anybody can go first. But what are you sitting with today that you'd like to share that maybe is important to you? And we can just whoever wants to go first.
I will say something first, just because I've been very quiet, which is super rare. But for me, like I mentioned, social emotional learning, I was like, what's that? But the mindfulness and the yoga, I remember a couple of years ago, like yoga to me, when I heard of it first, I was like, oh, it sounds so relaxing. And then some friends went, like men, very physically fit men, went to a yoga class and they came back and they were very, very like worn out. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, that was not easy. So I have not ever done yoga, but I have been using the Jabu Mind app, and I know that you're familiar with the
Oh,
Jabu Mind
nice.
app,
Yeah.
and Mel knows too. But there's a lot of apps out there. There's a lot of tools, and it does involve technology. But I came across it about, I don't know, probably almost a year and a half ago, actually. And I'd heard of some of the other ones very similar to Jabu Mind. And the buy-in, right? You're like, I don't know if this is going to
Mhm.
work or anything. And I just really appreciated like what it offered. And yeah, it was technology and it gave me reminders, notifications like, oh, it's the start of the day or it's your break or release your day. But even that, it was so hard for me to break from, I have to do all of these things and I have all of these things on my list and I'm never going to get them done. Like we're never going to get everything done. There's always
Yeah.
going to be something on the list. But what that enabled me to do was to really pause, even if it just meant that I just muted the notification at first and then I went back to it later. But it gave me a minute to pause and just like stop for the day. And so that for me has been great for, I mean, well over a year now. And like I said, I know that you're familiar with it. And anybody who's listening, I recommend Double Mind because like there's lots of weeks and there's different, and you can set up however you want it to be. But I think something else that you said too, like things that you're intentional about or you look forward to. And I'm almost embarrassed to say this, but like Wednesdays in the town that I live in, there's a local family-owned restaurant that I really enjoy. They have great food, but for the year and a half, they were closed down. They didn't have the karaoke, and I love music. Mel knows I love music. I'm in Nashville. I love music, and there's just something about being in that space, taking the break, and like just taking in whatever the environment, the surroundings are. So Wednesday nights, even though it's a school night, I've decided like I want to go and have dinner on Wednesday night and be in that space and listen to the people sing karaoke. I will not sing the karaoke, but it's something to look forward to. So like last
Nice.
week, I had a lot of things going on. I have, the doctoral course I'm taking. I had some blogs. I have a new podcast with BAM Radio Network that I'm doing. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I just happened to walk around my classroom and it just hit me. I was like, wait, it's Wednesday. I got karaoke tonight, even though I don't do it, but like I knew I was going out to eat. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to have a salmon salad and I'm going to go to the bakery it's at the end of the parking lot of my school, which is a famous bakery. And like, it's those little things that you look forward to. So I tell my students often, I'm like, they come in, they're like, I'm so tired and school is so hard. And I said, just find something in your day. I said, I know it's tough, but even if you just find one thing in your day that's like your goal or you're looking forward to, maybe it's whatever they're offering in lunch, whatever it is that gets you to that point that you're looking forward to it. Because once you get to that point, I find like it's easier to get through. And I mean, we struggle too as educators going into work. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I don't want to do this. I want to give them busy work or whatever. But then once they come in, you have that energy and I find like all of that goes away. So it's just finding one thing to focus on and kind of get rid of all of the other stuff. I just went on and on, but that's what works for me. So salmon, karaoke.
I love it. There's little rewards. They do matter. Dark chocolate works for me.
Oh my gosh, totally.
Yes.
M&Ms and potato chips for me, and ice cream.
Dark
like,
chocolate only.
Indeed. Yeah.
I'm a stickler on that. But yeah, what are your reflections? Thanks so much for being so authentic and sharing with us, Rachelle. I love it.
Yeah, of course. So question was again, like anything you want to share from this week? Okay.
Yeah.
Like anything from this week, like words of wisdom or just Friday reflection? I think, okay. I've been thinking a lot about, I was on a hiking trip with my teenager in the mountains here in Texas over the Thanksgiving holiday. And so I've been thinking a lot about just being, I know, right? Like as a mindfulness educator, this is going to be so touche, but about being like just in each moment, even when it's like unpleasant. There's a practice that you can do, and it's a mindfulness practice where you start labeling each moment as not good or bad, not assigning it a value judgment, but just saying, this is really unpleasant. You just mentally note it. This is pleasant, or I'm neutral. And it allows you a sense of detachment from difficult situations. And it gives you a little bit more perspective. It's a little bit more energetically uplifting in a sense, because you're not being like attached and drugged down by something that feels very difficult. So I think my Friday reflection is, how great it is. I guess a great tool it is to be able to just be aware of your thoughts and just label them to, and remind yourself that it's not going to last forever. Like, this is
Yeah.
pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. And it's been an amazing shift for me internally. A lot, as a type A person, I like things very organized. I really like have order. That's super important to me. And I even find myself in situations where I can't have as much order as I'd like, working on labeling, like, this is really unpleasant, and what's going to happen from this, honestly, like, like the world's not going to end, and like nobody's going to
Right.
get hurt, right? Like, and
Yes.
I have that inner sense of freedom, and I find the more that I do that, the more I'm able to just say, yeah, I mean, I don't know, whatever it could be. Like, someone, I think something recently came up about getting our Christmas tree. And usually I really like to be involved in that. And I just told my husband, like, it doesn't work for me tonight. If you want to go pick it out, like, whatever, I don't care. Just get this kind, and hopefully it looks good. So it may not, it may seem innocuous to you all, but for me, like, there's a moment, like, I really want to be involved. And I think that's really
Right.
important. But it's, again, me just having a little bit more detached experience,
Mhm.
and just like letting go. And that comes from, just labeling my thoughts in either pleasant moments, unpleasant moments, neutral moments. I hope that tool is helpful. It's been really helpful for me because it gives me a sense of ease and inner freedom in these difficult moments in education, and just in the context of the world. As I said, I feel like we're going through the seismic shift. It's hard to put our finger on it. Maybe, I don't know if y'all feel it, but I feel it. But so it's a great tool to use during this time. So that's my Friday reflection. I hope you can use it over the weekend and in your day next week. So
Yeah, no, I love that. I'm so glad that you were on today. I feel like it kind of validates even my absence for the last month, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
And I love that I was able to share that with Rochelle. Like when we all got COVID, I was like, I'm just, I may be physically recovering, but I am not mentally recovered. Like it took a lot
Mhm.
out of us, and I wanted to appreciate, being here. And I feel like taking this month off. And I just want to say thank you to Andrew and Lainey and Bonnie and Dr. Will for standing in
Oh
for me
yeah.
and
How
not
did I
giving up
forget
on me,
Dr. Will?
Rochelle.
Oh my gosh.
And not giving up on me,
No,
because I mean, I wanted
no.
to come back. I just didn't have the mental capacity to embrace it like I needed that rest. And it has absolutely been a wonderful month for me of healing and really looking at the things in my life that I want to keep and that I don't. And I just want to, I don't want to
mhm.
end this day without saying that I love my EduMatch publishing family. This is my
Oh
last
yeah.
official day as a logistics
Yeah.
manager, and I'm moving on to Spaces this Monday. And I don't know if Eric is watching, but
Yeah.
I'm just so blessed that this is like my life. I can't get over it. The wonderful things that are happening. And I feel like gratitude right now is so important for me to look at, because even though life gets hard, there's just so much. And then I'm just so, this Teacher Goals Conference, I just want anybody and everybody to sign up. I know all of our friends, we present, and this is just something that we believe in. I'm connected to so many wonderful educators, and I would love if you guys wanted to sign up to present. And I wanted to share that opportunity with you. And I have just had a wonderful time with both of you ladies today. This was a great day to come back. And Rochelle, we're coming back on Tuesday. So we're not, and Hedrick Nichols, her book is about to launch in about 30
Oh
minutes.
yeah, that's
And
right.
I wanted to say congratulations to her. It's Finding Your Blind
Yay.
Spots, and want to give a shout out to her. And she's been doing a 31-day positivity challenge. I think it's no negativity challenge. And it's been challenging me to also post things that are very positive. And
Mm.
not that there's not negative things going on. There's a lot of negative things going on, but there's still some really wonderful things going on too. I don't want to make it into toxic. What do I say? Positive toxicity, whatever.
Wait, positive toxicity.
Yes. But it's still good to look at those things that are working. And I love how you said earlier, Athea, about labeling those things that are coming in, because that really does matter, and it helps you make those good decisions. I know that right now I am so much better off starting my new my new journey and my new path, because I took this last month off to really be mindful about where I am in my life and what I want going forward.
Mhm.
And with that note, thank you to anybody who's watched this live or the replay. We appreciate you so much, and we will see you again on Tuesday. Who's coming on Tuesday, Rochelle?
Paul Solars.
All
So
right.
learn like a pirate. And before we end, Mel, I just want to say that, the beauty of being connected and having community like we have is because Lainey and Andrew and Dr. Will and Bonnie, like anybody can fill in, like we're all there to support one another. And so we need to take that time. And if we don't take that time, like it doesn't do us, our families, our friends, our students, anybody we're working with any good. And so I am thrilled beyond pieces to have you here today. So just want to throw that out there. And Athea,
Me
thank you for
too.
joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
It's been great to be here.
it is. And please follow Athea on Twitter at Athea Davis. And then we have the website on the bottom, AtheaDavis.com. Check her out. She's got amazing things. She's got great books. She's got a podcast going on. And we appreciate you so much. And we'll see you all on Tuesday. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Have a good one.